Welcome back to the FanSpeak Network. I'm your host, Spread Astaire, and today we will be diving in to more DraftKings content. Guys, where are you at today? Let me see you in the chat. Let's get to talking about some of these ADPs. We are kind of in the dog days of drafting. The idea, these ADPs aren't really moving, right? We got a little positive news about Kamani Vidal. He's moved up the board a tad. I noticed Daniel Jones getting a little more popular, that backdoor stack, as people are realizing, well, at least you get him as a starter here a little more. I'm high on Teo Johnson now that Waller's officially retired. So you can add him on your backdoor stacks as well. But we'll give Tyler a minute or two, but then we're going to dive into a DraftKings draft. Guys, any questions, comments? I would love to see them. Let me go ahead and share the screen for you guys, and we'll talk about some of these ADPs. Now, since the last time I've talked to you guys, not much has changed. Not much has changed as far as these rankings go. Or do I visit the rankings here? All right. Well, I will have to wait a second on that. Can I see the rankings here? All right. What have you guys been thinking so far? I know that everyone loves Underdog, but DraftKings is a little different. Let's just see if things have changed at all. So not much in the top 10 changing at all. Who's the biggest riser here? So Jalen Waddle all the way up to 17 on Underdog. You can get him at 22 here. See Travis Kelce is tight end 1 here, where he's tight end 2 over on Underdog. Sam Laporta all the way down to 30 here. A little bit surprising there. Malik Neighbors, who goes in the 20s, is 31 here. Stephon Diggs, who's at 21, is 32 here. DJ Moore, same deal. He usually goes with Diggs, but a little lower. So I'm surprised to see Debo's at 28 here. Devontae Smith here. Michael Pittman, another one that goes in the 20s usually. He's sitting here at 36, right around Travis Etienne. Zay Flowers, I've heard a lot of fun stuff about Zay Flowers here. Some people aren't sure whether or not he's going to replicate that success with Mark Andrews on the field. So that's kind of interesting when you're dealing with your Lamar stacks. And I understand the point there. And I'm thinking more, hey, if I am going to do a Lamar stack, maybe mix them with Andrews and not Flowers, not to mention that you can get Andrews as late as 52, whereas the Zay Flowers range, you're giving up on a Pittman, an ETN, a Pacheco, a Tank Dell. Tank Dell's the player I like the most on the Texans, and this is simply a cost-based idea. I'm getting him there at 41. We scroll up a little, we see Stephon Diggs, although it's not as disparate. Help me out there, chat. Stephon Diggs at 32 here, and then I can get Tank Dell at 41. Now, that's not as different, but it's 20 spots different on Underdog, which is another reason I think he's so happy. Josh Jacobs, another one falling, as Matt LaFleur has made it quite clear that he's going to go. Andrew, I hope you jump in this draft with me. Good to see you. He's going to go with 2 running backs out of that hole there. And so Jacobs has fallen a little bit. So everybody believes Matt LaFleur when he says it. Yeah, I'm going to do the $20. We'll do the best ball, try and get 1.5 million here up top. Yeah, 1.5 million to first. That's what we'll be gunning for here, Andrew. Nobody believes Doug Peterson, though, when he says he wants to get Tank Bigsby no work, which is why at the beginning of draft season, these 2 players, Travis Etienne and Josh Jacobs, were right next to each other. Now, because nobody believes Doug Peterson, but everybody believes LaFleur, Jacobs has dropped the tad, and I'm absolutely fine with that. Dalton Kincaid all the way down at 50. Boy, is he a great tight end to have, especially on this DK format where we get the 100-yard bonus. Dalton Kincaid, I love to have him here with Josh Allen, who's going 34th in this contest. CJ Stroud is a tough click for me. tough click for me on CJ Stroud. And my argument is we can get Dak Prescott and Joe Burrow a couple rounds later with the exact same upside. I see Dak at 76, Joe Burrow at 81. Why is CJ Stroud all the way up here? I mean, I guess they assume that he's going to continue to improve. To me, the Houston Texans are one of the biggest mispriced teams here in football. James Cook all the way down to 54. Joe Mixon at 56. Terry McLaurin, a player I like. Anthony Richardson is a fun one because I can go solo with him. I don't feel the need to correlate him as much. It feels like if he's going to get there, it's going to be off the strength of his legs. Alvin Kamara continues to fall as rumors of his holdout. Well, not rumors. I guess he really is holding out. But as he continues this holdout, and hey, doesn't seem like he's got a lot of leverage. Seems like they really like Kendre Miller. If Kendre Miller didn't get hurt last year, he probably would have been worked in a little more. So we're seeing on these draft boards, another one, Kyren Williams, right? Kyren Williams and Kamara heading down. Their backups, Blake Corum and Kendre Miller going forward. Keon Coleman, I love this little rookie range, and I love this conversation here with Keon Coleman, Xavier Worthy, all the way down to 69 here as people are believing in Marquise Brown. Now I love the value here on Xavier Worthy, who was as high as the 50s now, down to pick 69. Nice. I like Worthy a lot here. Ladd McConkey all the way down to 74. Interesting for a player who should be Herbert's number one target, but we continue to debate that and try to decide who's going to be that number one target earner there with the Fighting Harbaughs down in Los Angeles, those Chargers. Will it be Ladd McConkey or will it be the veteran Josh Palmer? Rome Odunze all the way down to 77. I keep going back and forth on that Bears offense. So my idea was like, this team's not going to be very good. The offensive line isn't very good. And now we continue to struggle here, trying to decide what to do with them. But boy, if Caleb's as good as I expect him to be, he should have some good games right off the bat. This is best ball. Making Odunze and Caleb an interesting stack that you can start late. Christian Watson, another player flying up the draft boards, and in this best ball format, why not? Because where you're drafting him right now, he's your fourth wide receiver. It feels like, some Gabe Davis here, these spike guys. Christian Watson on his big weeks could do really well. I see him here at 79. Quite interested in that. And then, of course, we've talked about the Dak Jake Ferguson combination. Kyler Murray all the way down to 85 on this site. He's a little higher. He's higher than Joe Burrow on Underdog. That's another interesting thing. But with a 100-yard rushing bonus, you think Kyler Murray probably a little undervalued here in this DraftKings format. Raheem Mostert down to 90, which makes sense. A lot of his value last season was off the touchdowns. And with the touchdowns being worth less and the PPR being worth more, I can see why Mostert down there. Najee Harris, our guy Felix Castro's favorite player, down to 92. All right, so it feels like Tyler is not going to be here. We'll go ahead and we'll do the countdown right now, Andrew. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 7 to 12. If anyone else is in with me, guys, let me know. We'll talk about your teams on here, and we'll continue to talk about some of these rankings here going forward. Marvin Harrison Jr. is another tough click for me. I think a lot of the value is the rookies is the unknown, right? And the idea we're drafting Keon Coleman, we're drafting a Ladd McConkey thinking he could be a first or a second round pick next year. You're not getting that value with Harrison at all. He's going to have to outperform his already high expectations for him to be worth that draft capital. Is he capable of doing that? Quite so. To me, I know he's named, it's Marvin Harrison, but he feels like it's cool that he landed in Arizona. I see a lot of Larry Fitzgerald in Marvin Harrison. Just does everything perfectly. Seems to have a really good work ethic as well. So it's a tough click. Drake London, another tough one, right? For the people who want, hey, you got to show me first. Well, you might miss out on it, right? And the guy might be a top 10 pick next year if what we expect from Kirk Cousins comes true. But still, Drake London has yet to do it yet. And then you see a guy a lot lower, Devontae Adams, who's been a top 5 receiver for the last 5 years, and we're getting him lower. That's kind of surprising to me. I know that people don't like the Raiders quarterback situation, but I think people are overlooking this a lot when it comes to these best ball targets here. And any quarterback can throw to a wide open guy. Looks like we're all the way filled up. Let's see where you're at. Andrew says he's at 11 of 12. Yeah, we're there. Look who's sitting here at pick 2. That's me. Who else is in this draft? Let's see. Andrew's at pick 10, and I don't recognize any other names. Noel Fan, a guy from Run Pier. What's up, buddy? I don't know if he's watching the stream with us, but if he is, good to see him. And Andrew will have 10 and 15. So pick 2. Normally you land at CeeDee Lamb. You can get a little funky here and go for some Tyreek Hill. But because of just exposure with these first-round guys, I want to get even exposure. They're all great picks. Where I'm really messing with my exposures is from round 10 on. So I'll probably go with CeeDee Lamb. Of course, I'm hoping that Mr. Autobots passes on Christian McCaffrey. And I understand why people are doing that, right? Nobody's repeated as fantasy top point scorer 2 years in a row in over 15 years. So I can understand getting cute there, but I'm not going to do it. If I have the number 1 pick, I do take Christian McCaffrey, but we'll see in 47 seconds what Mr. Autobot likes to do. So with CeeDee Lamb, of course, I'll be interested in getting some Dak Prescott, that what did I do? That Jake Ferguson correlation. Okay, I'm still in. I had to get those terrible things off my screen. And then, of course, we'll put the draft board up, and I'll have a lot of time in between picks to talk about everything else we're going to do. Well, Andrew grabbed a running back with that 10th pick. You know, it's wild is Underdog, and I think it's because the drafters are a tad bit sharper over there. They're so wide receiver hungry, but on this side, I think it pays to be a little more wide receiver hungry. I've been going with some hero RB builds, doing my Underdog drafts as of late. However, I will be targeting wide receivers here, unless, of course, excuse me, Mr. Autobots decides to pass on Christian McCaffrey. We've seen some wild things before. I've even seen Bijan go number 1. Now, even if you think he's going to be the top player, I don't know if that's the top strategy. How far do you want to reach? And, you know, we don't have that much information to really know what's right or wrong. Guys, remember, this is brought to you by the Fanspeak Network. Check out fanspeak.com to continue to get the best in best ball rankings and articles. That's right, Meg and Steve continue to break down these things. So if you don't feel like listening to us for hours on end, you can read the article in quick, concise format, and then, of course, go on to try to dominate your draft. So, of course, I went CeeDee Lamb. My Autobots guy did not take he took Christian McCaffrey, did not leave him for me. And it looks like everything's gone according to plan so far. Andrew's up in 1 pick. We have 3 running backs off the board. My guess is he's going to grab a wide receiver. My guess is he's going to go A.J. Brown. Let's see how I do on this guessing game. For content sakes, these first rounds are kind of boring. I think the ADPs are correct. And I know it's fun to take stands, but I think you take stands later in the draft. He took A.J. Brown. Oh, my prediction was correct. Now let's see what he comes back with, because Saquon will be on the board. He can go for the Eagles stack there if he wants, or go wide receiver heavy. The rough part about being at pick 2, it's going to take a while for me to get back on the board. Interesting to see what these guys leave for me. Being on the turn, you can always grab what is it? I don't like this turn. I like your back turn a little better. Boy, Saquon goes 11. There goes the idea of that full-on Philly stack for you, Andrew. And like I said, once again, I'm surprised. I think on Underdog, running backs are more valuable, but it seems like they're valued more here by the DraftKings drafters. My theory on that is you're getting less experienced, more home league style drafters. One Underdog, it's just best ball mania year round. And so Andrew added Jahmyr Gibbs there, right? I think that's a cool combination, Andrew, because think about it. If you do make it to the finals, how many people are going to have AJ and Saquon? Well, you got AJ and Jahmyr Gibbs. Should be a fairly unique combination. Josh next to him went 2 running backs to start. I don't hate that, especially this time of the year, because we don't know who the excellent running back 2s are going to be. The counter argument is that I can get a guy like Kendre Miller or Jaleel McLaughlin. Maybe they get elevated to the starting role, and I get a 5th-round pick in September for the 12th round price right now. Pretty soon I'm going to have to look back on this board. I'm just checking out what these guys are doing. Garrett Wilson, Drake London. I mean, what a popular start there. Not going to be unique there, Noel fans. So you're going to have to do something to get a little different. And are you referring to our friend Novak Djokovic, Noel fan? Because if so, that's pretty awesome. Let me go back to see who's on the board and decide what I want to do. We have some Kyren Williams at the top of the board. He continues to fall. And some of this is people being down on Kyren, and some of this is just riding the market. We know he's going to continue to fall. Let's see how low he goes. And it feels like that's a game that the drafters are playing right now. Even if you're high on Kyren Williams, how far is he going to fall? So I have CD here first. A-Chain's an excellent idea. I can go Kelsey, maybe get a little bit of Patrick Mahomes a little bit later. Derrick Henry, Stephon Diggs all the way down there at 27. Kelsey, A-Chain. I'll go Kelsey. All right, let's see how that works out for me now. I'm up again in another 2 picks. I might grab my first running back here if A-Chain or Henry are still on the board, unless he double taps RB. That should be the case. What's my opportunity cost here? Deebo Samuel. If I would have got McCaffrey, that would be the easy pick. This guy's got to take. If you have McCaffrey, I think you have to take Deebo in this spot. DJ Moore, Cooper Kupp, who I love in this format. I like him better here on on DraftKings than I do Underdog. A-Chain off the board. He's going to take Deebo. He's got to take Deebo here, right, guys? He's got to take Deebo. Let's see if I'm correct on my prediction as we continue to watch how this draft unfolds. I'll make my pick, and then I'll get us back to the draft board. Most likely going to be Derrick Henry for me. But if not, where do I go? I'll probably go Deebo. Deebo or Kupp here. Maybe I'll go Kupp just because of the format. Wow, he took Derrick Henry. All right, because of the format, I'm going to go Kupp here. So far I've started with CD, Kupp, Kelsey. That's all right. I mean, you never like your draft this early. Let's see how it all turns out for me. And we go back to the draft board and let's see what people are up to. I probably took Kelsey too early. Let's see if Mahomes gets back to me. It's interesting to see how these rooms work. Did I start a tight end run? Or if not, I'm definitely going to regret this. Probably should have gone 3 wide receivers to start. 3 running backs to start for Autobots. That is aggressive. All right, Sam Laporta off the board. Let's see if these these continue to go. So Deebo goes. That's a great start here for Trey K17, who's got Amon-Ra, Jalen Waddle, and Deebo Samuel. You love those. I love those 3 wide receiver starts, especially here. Of course, I went Kelsey. I'm trying to get cute. We'll see if Mahomes makes it back to me. So far, so good, as no quarterback has gone off the board. And I think any self-respecting drafter knows correlation be damned. It's tough to take Patrick Mahomes when Josh Allen's on the board. So the longer that Josh Allen falls, the better I feel about this. We'll see if Andrew is going to shoot for a little bit of Jalen Hurts here. Worried about the progression from Jalen Hurts, and not that he'll be a worse player, and Josh Allen goes off the board as I speak. So Josh KJ78, and probably close to my age, probably would love some of Justin's songs that he sings on the show. He is going to put himself in a bind with these receivers. He's gone Breece Hall, Jonathan Taylor, Josh Allen. I would love this for some weekly winners formats. Andrew, you got me hooked on weekly winners. Andrew's on the board. Who is he going to take? He took Stephon Diggs. Boy, Diggs has been a tough click for me. I'm wondering how he works in that situation. I also know that he's a bit of a diva. Will he demand the ball? Is that good for Stephon Diggs owners? And maybe pushing down some of that Nico Collins and Tank Dell love. But Diggs is an interesting player. We've seen these players fall right off the map. The Bills' offense looked better when he wasn't so target concentrated, so it'll be interesting to see. And you see Tank Dell go off the board 2 spots later. That's so wild if you're used to drafting on underdog. I think these are a little more correct. Tyler's brought it up on the show. CJ has talked about Tank Dell being his favorite target here and his number 1 receiver. So I can understand why people are high on him. It feels like the DraftKings rankings have done that a little more correctly than what I perceive as the flaw in underdog. And underdog, I love having Tank Dell, getting him late. Here, a little bit less of a value. So Noel Fan from Run Pier, what a surprise, right? Probably listens to JSU. He has gone 4 wide receivers to start. But getting DJ Moore in the 4th round, I can understand why he can't pass that value up. Now, Anders making the decision, do I want Jalen Hurts? Do I want Jalen Hurts? We'll find out in 9 seconds, guys. Is Andrew going to take Jalen Hurts? He does. He does. See, Andrew, when you're a sharp drafter, it gets a little bit predictable. Now, here, one of these things on DraftKings, though, not always the sharpest drafters, which means these rooms can be complete chaos here. So far, we've had 2 players start with 4 wide receivers. Mahomes is gone. I would cuss. I should cuss. All right, looks like I'm going for Dak now. Dang it, I hate that Kelsey pick now. I really only want that as if why would you do that, bro? Totally nook. All right, let me get back to the board. That sucked. All right, I can grab Lamar. And I don't have Andrews. Okay, so I'm not grabbing Lamar. I don't want Jacobs. I don't want CJ Stroud. We talked about that earlier. I do need a wide receiver. So T. Higgins or Christian Kirk. Why not both? Why not both? We'll grab T. Higgins right now, and let's see if Kirk is there when I come back around. Let's take a look at this draft board. And Christian Kirk is gone. Not a surprise. Homeboy got Lamar Jackson to go with Derrick Henry. Maybe get a little ping pong action there. See, this is where I should not have taken Kelsey. I would much rather have Kincaid there and a better thing. I was hoping to get that stack. That's not going to happen for me. I can grab a naked Anthony Richardson. I can grab an Xavier Worthy. I'm going to grab Terry McLaurin. This is giving me more options now. So since I missed out on my first wide receiver, my chances to correlate. CD, we got Dak on the board. Cup, Stafford on the board, but I want him to be QB2, not QB1. T. Higgins, that gives me some Joe Burrow. Wouldn't mind having Joe Burrow as my number 1 at all. And Terry McLaurin, of course, gives me an opportunity for that Jaden Daniels stack. Jaden Daniels also a player I'm not afraid to take on his own because he could get there a lot simply by virtue of his legs. Now, I've been one of the guys saying, guys, I know that he can run. I know he's an athlete, but I think he's a great thrower too, and I would not simply pigeonhole Jaden Daniels as a run-only QB. I think that his arm and his ability to read the field is much better than that of Anthony Richardson, who goes a lot higher. So that's why I don't have a lot of – I don't know if I have a lot of Jaden Daniels, but I definitely have more Daniels than Anthony Richardson. To me, if you play these multiple formats, Anthony Richardson's weekly winners. That way I don't have to worry about injury. And if he just wins me 1 week, I'm fine. But I'm concerned with injury here on this guy. And I know that you guys are concerned about Jaden Daniels' injury, but why aren't we concerned about the guy who's never even completed a full NFL game? Why aren't we concerned about that? So sometimes I think that our injury concern, and like Kirk Cousins, we're just assuming he's going to be okay. Why aren't we concerned about that injury risk? I know people don't want to hear that panics, but he could very well be there. Now look at this jerk that took Patrick Mahomes from me. Now you got Mahomes and Mark Andrews. Bro, you could have correlated correctly. We could have both had bomb-ass teams that had chances in the playoffs, but no, you wanted to get cute and snipe my guy. All right, let's see. Will Noel Fan take his 5th wide receiver here? How does he go? We had a mini run on the running backs here with Blake Corum. I don't even know what pick that is. Blake Corum going ahead of Josh Jacobs is absolutely wild. Andrew, You have to be with me here. Do you not understand the EV that we're getting here? Bro, we are in a draft room where Blake Corum went ahead of Josh Jacobs. That can't be right. I don't care. I don't care if he has a better season. That's not right. This is the advantage we have on DraftKings, Andrew. This is the advantage we have on DraftKings. And Andrew was listening to me because he got some Dalton Kincaid. Andrew's got an excellent team so far. A.J. Brown, Stephon Diggs, Jalen Hurts, Dalton Kincaid to go with Jahmyr Gibbs. How will he round it out here? Is he worried about this running back run? Will he get a second running back? My guess is he's going wide receiver, knowing him. I don't think he can go there that late. So he got Calvin Ridley from Tennessee, a great backdoor stack opportunity there, grabbing Ridley. I personally have been going more of it with DeAndre Hopkins, but we'll see how it goes. Keon Coleman goes off the board. I mean, why bother correlating, right? This is DraftKings. I mean, these people here. I mean, it's just like being in a managed league. Just draft who you want. Don't worry about anything. Don't worry about matching your players up. Right. I mean, and hey, maybe this is the year that correlation doesn't matter. I like Blotsky's team. He's gone 5 wide receivers and Josh Jacobs. To get Josh Jacobs at that pick, he's got to be so happy right now. I also like his pick of Malik Neighbors because Daniel Jones is a fun late round quarterback to take. Anthony Richardson goes off the board to the guy who takes Jefferson, Olave, Kyron Williams, Pacheco, Corum, and Richardson. Andrew, I'm not too worried about that team. If he beats me, he beats me. And let me go back to the board here. Let me check the players. I still see Xavier Worthy on the board. That's going to be tough for me to avoid. Kenneth Walker is somebody that I really like, and he just goes off the board. See, this is why I should not have taken Kelsey earlier. I would have loved to have George Kittle here. I'm going to go for an Xavier Worthy here, and then coming back, I really have some tough decisions. Do I continue to ignore running back and grab some Joe Burrow? I will probably do that. But boy, it's tough to leave a guy that I know is a pure bell cow in Zamir White. And I'm surprised of all the players that Zamir White is so low because I don't see any they haven't said anything about him getting a timeshare at all. You worry about Alexander Madison or Dylan Lobb taking some of those carries. I'm not, which is why it's tough to leave him on the board. But I'll probably go quarterback because I do trust my ability to scoop up all these second string running backs. And here on DraftKings, I get an extra 2 shots at it. So I get an extra shot at a Tyrone Tracy, a Damian Pierce, and Elijah Mitchell, players who obviously would need an injury for them to get home. But as we've looked at earlier formats, that seems to be the winning formula. And Joe Burrow is still on the board for me. I'll go ahead and take him there. I hate getting aced out at quarterback. Now I can be a little more comfortable. I could have reached up for Dak, but that's fine. I would rather have Burrow here. Also gives me a little bit of interesting core. I guess I could have done that with Dak too because you have Dowdle and Zeke. But I can grab some Chase Brown or some Zach Moss. So at the beginning of the season, so that's one I cannot figure out. Who would I rather have? And of course, Zach Moss is the obvious choice, but we're thinking about opportunity costs as well because Zach Moss is going 2 rounds higher. I think that makes it tough. I think that makes it tough. Has Zach Moss done anything besides get usage? Now, that doesn't matter because James Conner to me is not impressive. He gets a ton of usage. He's good. Rachaad White, another player, really not that impressive when you watch the tape or look at the stats, yards after contact, things like that. But they continue to put up points because their usage is so high. I also think that's how Zamir White could be. I don't think he's a top 10 running back per se when you look at his skill, but the usage is going to be so high. Will that be the case for Zach Moss? I think it's tough for us to see. Andrew's back on the board. Who will he match with Calvin Ridley, Dalton Kincaid, and the rest of his TD King squad here? But he's King A23 here. Boy, the guy's really into royalty. If you like royalty, Andrew, I just saw the movie Firebrand this weekend. I thought it was a great movie. He's on the pit clock. 5 seconds left. He took Ladd McConkey. Now, McConkey is an interesting player for us to talk about. I'm not too impressed with his physical skills. And if you've heard me gush on about Brock Bowers, one of the reasons I have is we see the Ladd McConkey going this high in the draft, yet the offensive coordinator at Georgia seemed to go to Brock Bowers whenever they needed something, whenever they needed a first down, whenever they needed a big play. They weren't targeting McConkey, they were targeting Bowers. However, the opportunity should be there. Who is he competing with? Josh Palmer? Josh Palmer? If Josh Palmer ends up number one, I think that's going to be an indictment of Ladd McConkey's ability to get open as an NFL receiver. So the opportunity should be there for McConkey. All he needs to do is seize it. Just like Vince McMahon said, seize that brass ring. All right. Let's see what happens next. Dak Prescott is off the board for me. I'm glad I got Burrow right now, though. I'm fine with that. Let's see where Andrew's going to go next. Raheem Mostert. Like I said, not as valuable in this format, which is more PPR based, but 100-yard bonus. But he's still a great pick there in round 8. So, I'm watching all these running backs that I'm going to need to be added to my portfolio go off the board. Andrew on the clock right now. Who will he match with Ladd McConkey, DeAndre Hopkins? So, if I was a jerk, I would take Will Levis. But Andrew, fortunately, I'm not. I am not a jerk, and you can go ahead and have that backdoor stack. Now, the rest of these guys, I can't speak for them, Andrew, but I can see right now that he's going for a little bit of Will Levis action, and who could blame him here because he can't use too much draft capital on quarterback because he went so high with Jalen Hurts in round 4. He needs to fill in the rest of these positions. Who's a better backdoor candidate than Will Levis? All the talent is there. The offensive coordinator's been changed. We got more weapons here with Calvin Ridley being added. Another season of Treylon Burks. I know we don't want to talk about him. There's a possibility he ends up being pretty good. And then, of course, to Joe Burrow, my quarterback in this draft's detriment, Tyler Boyd joins the team. Now, will Chigakonku, are we going to be a year late on everybody taking Chigakonku? We'll find out, but that wouldn't be a bad tight end for Andrew there to pair with Dalton Kincaid as well. So the way that he's drafted early, he's got an opportunity for some Herbert. He's got an opportunity for some Will Levis so he can fill in nicely. And the quarterback run has begun. Good thing I grabbed Joe Burrow where I did because I would not have liked my options here in the 8th round, 11th pick. Let's go back to the players. Boy, I'm on the clock already. Probably should have flipped over a little earlier. I already have a tight end. I need a running back. So I'm looking at Ramondre Stevenson. Felix Castro, what's up, buddy? I'll grab Najee Harris, and then I'm going to grab Ramondre if he comes back around to me. Tony Pollard, I'll leave him on the board for you, Andrew. Andrew, I'll be curious. Who would you rather have? And, of course, draft position matters. Tony Pollard or Tyjae Spears? Yeah, I mean, Meg, we got to give Andrew props. Isn't it fun how I just go on these streams and then I just get I have the worst team possible. I'm the guy talking the whole time, supposedly the expert, and then guys like Andrew keep jumping on here, stealing my thunder with their excellent drafting ability. Will Ramondre be on the board for me? I wouldn't be surprised because Mr. Autobots went ahead and drafted 3 QBs early. But this is DraftKings. This is the Wild West. You know, it's so funny for everyone, all the talk about the Wild West. There really wasn't that many gunfights back then. It's just the ones that we did hear about were really famous, but there's not as many as you would think for us all talking about the Wild West. Okay, no more historical tangents for me for at least 5 minutes. Did he really take Ramondre? You got to be kidding me. And I can't take Jaylen Warren. I don't want Jonathan Brooks as number 2. Sorry, Andrew. I got to take Pollard. It's my only option. F me. I can't believe this guy. Let's go back to the draft board. You already have Christian McCaffrey, Devon Achane, and Derrick Henry. You only have 2 wide receivers, and you take Aaron Jones and Ramondre Stevenson. I mean, Andrew, how many teams in this pod are dead? All right. Enough bitching for me. I mean, okay, so let's look at the teams that we're actually scared about. I think Noel Fan, doesn't surprise me. He's a run pure guy. Did well. He started with 4 wide receivers, added in 3 running backs, and now has a quarterback. I mean, that's a great way to start your team. CJ Lancaster went 2-2, nice balanced start. You can argue our player takes, right? We talked about CJ Stroud, but as far as team building, I think he did a great job. Probably a little heavy on the running back, light on the wide receiver, especially for this format. But I wouldn't say that CJ Lancaster is drawing dead. Andrew, I've given you your props. I'll show you're not drawing dead. We'll continue. This guy started Hero RB, but he filled it in nicely, this Josh KJ guy. So you start Hero RB, you grab a quarterback. I'm thinking, what is this guy doing? But then he rips off 4 wide receivers in a row, and I wouldn't be surprised if we took another one here. So you got Pickens, Hollywood, Keon Coleman, Watson, and Ndunze. And you're really just rolling the dice here. We are gambling. I don't think this team's drawing dead at all. Josh, JK. Blotsky, I've talked about liking his team before. Totally Nook, because I think is a jerk. I don't know. Yeah, he probably overdid it on the running backs too. It's really tough to me to see. And I know Steve says you want your running back to hit your flex, but you want to do that through good drafting. You want to do that by grabbing that second string guy that ends up becoming the first string or gets a heavy workload because it's a 50-50 backfield and his talent can't be denied. I don't think you want to draft for your running back to hit your flex. So that would be my criticism of this totally Nook team. I'm not even going to consider us losing. If we lose to the guy that took Blake Corum in round 5, Andrew, we can have a stream and insult ourselves for hours. That would be. He took Kyron and Blake Corum. Yeah, the team said. Trey K is doing good. 4 wide receiver start. He's like me, only has 1 running back. He went Purdy and Love. Now you would say, hey, should you take 2 quarterbacks for 1 running back? I don't know, but you might be able to get away with it because, like I said, the preponderance, is that the right word? We have an abundance of second string running backs, and we get 2 extra cracks at it being on DK in this format. And I see, yeah, I mean, we don't know what Team 1 is doing, but Steve, good to see you here. I've been loving the content you've been doing. So keep up the good work. He says, I love how late Hopkins is going on DK. I feel like he's kind of late on Underdog as well, Steve. If you look at his ability to get separation last year, I think he was still elite. I think Levis had problems getting in the ball. If you're betting on Tennessee, you're betting that he's going to improve. I would argue that he's going too late on both sides. And if you would go back to my content 2 years ago, I had him as a top 5 wide receiver. And when he was with Deshaun Watson, I made the argument that DeAndre Hopkins was the best wide receiver in the league. CJ Lancaster made the best pick of the whole draft, grabbing Brock Bowers there. And so I will not be able to get him, to be fair, because I did invest early on Kelsey, though. It wouldn't have been a great pick. Let's see. Steve's talking about the running back hitting the flex. He says on DK, you are probably more likely to have your wide receiver hit your flex. At least it's more of a 50-50 proposition. All right, and I would agree with that as well. Will I have a wide receiver hit the flex on this team? I hope so. I do have 5. So I followed the rules. I have 5 so far. I have a quarterback. I have a tight end. I can draft whoever I want here. I can afford to be flexible. Nick Chubb continues to fall down the boards, and that makes sense to me. We don't know when he's going to be back, and we don't know how good he's going to be. I feel like if you're going to he's going to continue to fall. So it's almost like Kyron Williams. We know that he's going to drop. Even if you believe in him from a player take perspective, why would you not wait and continue to let that ADP fall? You'll be competing. You can get him in round 12 rather than getting him in round 10. And you'll be the teams that do have Nick Chubb. If you're right about your player take, hopefully, you've added a Romeo Dobbs, a player like that that's going to help you get there. Okay. So let's see where I'm looking. Jaden Daniels off the board, huh? Okay. We talked about Dobbs. I do like him. Gus is an interesting gamble here. Chase Brown. I could do that as well. So I'm going to grab Dobbs, and then I'm going to try and grab Chase on the way back. Nice balanced build. Who am I leaving on the board here? Tua, which is fine, but I don't have any. I already have Burrow as my quarterback. If this team's going to be good, Burrow's going to have to be an elite top 5 MVP candidate. because I don't have any correlation, I don't think the risk is worth it. If I would have had Christian Kirk, I probably would have gone for Trevor, but of course, I got sniped there. Gus Edwards is an interesting proposition. I'll take all my Edwards exposure on underdog where touchdowns are more valuable, and I'll stay away from him here. Plus, with these reports about Kamani Vidal, it feels like that's the guy I want to be scooping up right now and letting these other guys fall. So Chase Brown's a player that I'm looking at. Who else am I missing out on? Some Josh Palmer. We talked about him early. He could end up being the number one there if Vlad McConkey's not able to grab that job. A.D. Mitchell, another one. But boy, it feels like I would rather, if I have A.D. Mitchell, I almost want like Flacco in there. I'm not convinced that Richardson's going to pepper multiple targets. I think that he's going to pepper Pittman, some Josh Downs. We'll see if A.D. Mitchell ends up earning that work. But right now, I'm kind of on a see it to believe it here. If he falls and I'm getting ADP value with A.D. Mitchell, I'll take him, right? If he's the top player on my board and, it's 10 spots below his average ADP, I'm not against A.D. Mitchell, but he's not a guy that I'm going to reach for. Let's see what Steve has to say in the chat. He says, when Hopkins was with Watson or Murray, he was an easy top 5 wide receiver. Even with Ridley here, I absolutely think Hopkins can be a top 20 guy with top 10 upside. This could be Chase and Higgins light. I agree. It really comes down to Will Levis. I think the wide receivers are there. One thing that really discouraged me about Calvin Ridley last year, I felt that he had a lot of drop balls that were wide open, and also that maybe he was better in a slot role than he would be in the wide receiver role that he was playing last season. My concern is when they're saying we're going to use him like Chase. Well, shouldn't we get him back in the slot? I guess with Tyler Boyd, that's a little bit redundant here. But I think that's my concern about Ridley. So we will find out here. Boy, I'm doing a terrible job with this. I should make this bigger. What's wrong with me? All right. So Andrew's up. He ended up getting Tyjae Spears. If the Titans are good this year, Andrew's team is going to be really good. Let's go ahead and congratulate him for that. And he grabbed Herbert. So he's going to 3 QB build. I agree with that here on DraftKings. And he matched him with Vlad McConkey. I would say matched him with Austin Eckler, but that was last year. Now Austin Eckler out here in Washington. Andrew, I love getting Eckler on this site. If you're playing multiple sites, this is the site to get Eckler on. The PPR, if he does blow up, he's going to be that much more effective here. Let's see as this board continues. I talked about A.D. Mitchell. He probably got some good value there. The guy's got Brock Bowers, so we got to worry about him. He's definitely a good drafter if you take Brock Bowers. Dontavian Wicks, the fantasy community's darling. I mean, he's gone up about, 3 rounds since draft season started. So while most of these ADPs are pretty stale, they're pretty stagnant, we do have movers, Blake Corum and Dontavian Wicks being 2 of those men. I love that Andrew jumped in on the Las Vegas Raiders train with me, grabbing Jacoby Myers, who has proved to be a solid option here at the wide receiver 2 spot. How much will Bowers eat into that? How much will Michael Mayer eat into that? We will find out. But in round 12, Andrew, I don't think that you went wrong here. Now, I have 3 quarterbacks, 1 tight end, 1 quarterback. I can go any way that I want. I should probably look at shoring out my QB position. Let's see who's still on the board here. Definitely don't want Aaron Rodgers. I'll leave that for you guys. Who was the other back stat core? Oh, Matt Stafford. He's probably already gone too. What quarterbacks are left on the board? Boy, I let it go too far. Looks like Will Levis it is. No, I'm just kidding, Andrew. Meg says, I really do believe Callahan will use Ridley so much more effectively than the Jaguars did. Hope so, And Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, but Brian Callahan is the son of Bill Callahan, who was the coach that lost to John Gruden in the 2002 Super Bowl for my Las Vegas, at the time, Raiders. Am I right? Okay, let's get off the QB page because I'm not wasting no picks on that. We're going like Daniel Jones and some stuff here. I can grab another running back with Rico, some Charbonnet action, Leggett. Ooh, I like Mooney a lot. But I think that I need running back a little bit more. Let's go with Rico here. The idea that he could be a little more effective than Zeke. Also, are we sure that Zeke is going to stay healthy? I know that he was rather durable last year up in New England. However, not sure if he is. When you're taking Rico, what you're really hoping is that the Cowboys don't make a trade or a big free agency pickup. But I'm fine taking that gamble, especially what are we in, round 12 or something like that. So we'll continue here. Now I will probably take another wide receiver because I'm really just gonna hope that Joe Burrow is really good. Who am I looking at here? Xavier Legette. No, Steve, we're not. Steve, do you like that Legette and Quentin Johnston are right next to each other here? Because that's the player that you comped them to. So I'll probably go with a little Darnell Mooney or a little Adam Thielen. Now, I've heard some concerns about Adam Thielen, the idea that the fact that he got so many targets was simply a failure of that offensive line and the system, and that if you're designing your system for Adam Thielen to get that many targets, you're destined to lose. So this target share will go down this year. Let's find out if that's true. He says, absolutely, Bill Callahan, now the offensive line coach for the Titans, which is a massive win for him. Yeah, I know, too bad we couldn't keep him as the offensive line coach because behind that one guy, who is this, Scarnecchio or something, the Patriots guy is supposed to be one of the best. So that will help them a lot. Especially with all the young offensive linemen. Yeah, continue to make the case for the Titans. Everything's looking up for the Titans except for Steve. Did they make the right pick at quarterback? Because if Will Levis isn't that guy, then all these sharp observations that we're making aren't going to matter if they give him time and these guys are getting open and he can't give them the ball. So you got to say, hey, they're giving Levis the opportunity to succeed. Let's see if he takes advantage of it. Callahan's also owned Callahan's Auto Parts. Okay, I don't know if I've seen Tommy Boy. So he could sell a ketchup pops. Okay, you guys are probably making a joke about a movie I haven't seen. So sorry about that. I can't jump in with you there. Kendre Miller off the board. One of my favorite second string running backs, as the concern about Alvin Kamara and his contract situation continues into training camp. Andrew's on the board. Who will he add to Jacoby Myers and Justin Herbert? That AFC West juggernaut that he's trying to create. Yeah, it's pretty old, isn't it? I mean, I think the guy who started it passed away. I'm not much for comedy movies. When you're as funny as I am, you just listen to yourself talk all day, Andrew. Who is Andrew going to take? Andrew, don't get auto-drafted. He took Xavier Legette. Steve, it's time for us to shame him. Steve, let's shame Andrew in the chat. Xavier Legette, why would you want Quentin Johnston 2.0? Oh, my gosh. Unbelievable. Geno Smith goes off the board. Let's see what Steve says. He says, even if Levis isn't great, he could still produce in this offense with these weapons and offensive line. Look at Sam Howell last year with the terrible O-line and not as many weapons, still plenty of fantasy production. I agree with everything except for the weapons, man. Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson's a good duo. Now, I know Dotson didn't get done for us fantasy-wise, but I think that was more a failure of the quarterback play and Eric Bieniemy's play calling than actually Jahan Dotson as a player. He's going to have an opportunity to prove us wrong this season. So let's see how Jahan Dotson does under what we would assume to be is a better run offense under Cliff Kingsbury. If he fails to put up big numbers this year, maybe it's time for us to admit that Jahan Dotson pick was not a sharp pick, but I'm willing to give Jahan Dotson one more year. So we'll find out whose weapons are really better as Jaden Daniels attempts to make it work here. And I'm watching these quarterbacks run off the board, and I waited too long on quarterback. Hopefully that my position players will be able to get me through here, as now I'm going to be looking at some Daniel Jones and Derek Carr and all these players I don't want. Unbelievable here. That's what I get for talking the whole time. He says Legette pick is a bet against Thielen. I could do this, Meg. Backup stack with JT Sanders and Bryce Young, but Bryce Young is gone. Let's see what Steve has to say. So I'm just reading him out loud, Steve. Oh, I love McLaurin and even Dotson, but Ridley and Hopkins I'd give the edge to. Also Boyd over Curtis Samuel easily, and Chig over Logan Thomas. Okay, fair enough. I think we both agree that it's pretty close. Where are we at on quarterbacks as they continue to go? This is disgusting. I'm gonna end up grabbing Daniel Jones. Whatever. I'm not too happy about that. All right, so I'm gonna have to grab. If I'm grabbing Daniel Jones, I'll go Wan'Dale Robinson and then Daniel Jones. This team got kind of crappy. Let's see how it turns out. I haven't liked my streaming drafts lately. Well, we'll see how this one turns out here. It's kind of tough to leave Derek Carr on the board with Daniel Jones on the board. My idea here is at least I have some rushing upside with Jones, and he was a top 10 quarterback 2 seasons ago. So let's see if they get back to that. Of course, the concern with Jones is that he won't even be starting by the end of the year. And we'll see how this one turns out. So I'm going to reach for Daniel Jones, and then I don't even know what I'm going to do with the last one. It's going to be like Aiden O'Connell or something stupid. Michael Penix. I don't even know. Unbelievable here how I start talking and I lose track of these quarterbacks. I forget this is DraftKings. You can't. So on Underdog, you can just keep pushing quarterback back because most people, after they get 2 quarterbacks, they don't take another. Not the case here. And this is where I get for being out of practice. Damn you. That's what I get for maxing the Chihuahua. Who maxed the Chihuahua? Raise your hand. All right. How many hands are raised in the chat? Because I did. Max the Chihuahua already. What a great weekend. Let's see what Steve said. Justin and I are still on Thielen versus Leggett. I do like Leggett more on DK given the extra rounds and get more overall value here in these drafts. Okay. So Steve refuses to shame Andrew. It'll be me by myself being a jerk. Not saying shame. Have you guys watched, speaking of shame, have you guys watched House of the Dragon yet? I have not. I didn't even finish it the first time around. I was dating this woman and we were watching it together and we broke up on episode 8. So I've never seen the last 2. All right. Derek Carr goes up the board. Let's see what these players continue to do. You've already got 3 tight ends, Andrew. I mean, 3 quarterbacks. You got to be looking at tight end, though, with only 1. Taysom Hill at 14-4. Quite interesting, I must say. I think I'd rather have Cade Otton than Taysom Hill. But I've been consistently wrong about Taysom Hill. Yeah, I can't give you spoilers, Steve, because I didn't watch. Yeah, Drake May might be someone I'm going to have to go for. Too bad Jalen Polk. You know, with these back stacks, I might even be I don't even know what I'm going to do with my 3rd QB. I might just say screw it. I mean, I need another tight end, too. Jaleel McLaughlin? Andrew, how could you do that to me? Felix, my guy. So if you guys love fun, energetic streams, make sure you check out the channel of Felix Castro. I mean, the guy brings the energy every time. I have a lot of fun listening to you, Felix. So I'm glad that you were able to join us. And yes, that's right. In round 8, I did pick Najee Harris. There you go, buddy. And I was going to max him with Ramondre. I didn't want to risk it. Can you imagine, Felix, if I didn't take Najee there? This guy took his 5th running back in round 9 with Ramondre Stevenson. I did not think he would, but I took Najee not to risk it. Where are we at here? I see. So the 2 winners of the draft are the guys that got Brock Bowers and Jaleel McLaughlin. So that's not me. I'm you, Felix, with Jaleel McLaughlin on to your Najee Harris. Tyler Conklin, Isaiah Likely. These tight ends continue to go off the board. I don't mind 3 tight ends in a row, and especially Sanat when you're drafting them this late. Boy, we got a lot of more rounds. I've been doing a lot of underdog lately, so this just feels like we're drafting forever. What's up, Tyler? Well, thank you. I'm the winner because of Felix, because I did get Najee. What's up to my guy, Tyler? If anyone's drafting in here and you want me to go over their team at the end, I will go ahead and do it. Just drop your team name. And, of course, we'll be giving Andrew his flowers because most likely he beat me again, beat me in my own game. He disparages DraftKings in our chat constantly, and then he comes in and drafts better than me. I mean, what a freaking joke. I mean, but I'm just in hell right now. Okay, so who am I looking at here? I probably should have looked at this board earlier. I already have 8 wide receivers. I should probably go for running back because I did do the 0 running back build. Let's go Rashawn Johnson here. Then I'll draft Darren Waller. No, I'm not going to do that. I'll probably grab Jatavion Sanders above Noah Fant. Did you see that, Meg? Did you see that, Meg? Jatavion Sanders is now ahead of Noah Fant. Look what you've done, Meg. Look what you've done to the best ball world. Meg, I blame you for this rise in ADP for Jatavion Sanders. Juwan Johnson will continue to fall as we know that he is suffering an injury. So that ADP is not accurate. Of course, do not take Darren Waller. He has retired to make some excellent tunes. I don't know about you guys. I'm bumping that every day. Psych. Remember when we used to say psych? For those of you old enough, that was a super cool burn back in the day. You say something like a compliment and you'd be like, psych. And then everyone would be like, oh, I'm in shambles. Okay. So if you're talking about taking players naked, Meg, Justin Fields isn't bad. But I need the second tight end. I'll grab Sanders. I will grab Sanders. And we'll see how we'll go. And then my third tight end is probably going to be Teo Johnson. Meg, you do have that much influence. When I started this thing, his ADP was 215. Look at him now. Darren Waller, get off my board. Go retire somewhere else. What a weird career that guy had. He's one of the most heartwarming stories. He quits drugs. John Gruden believes in him. He brings him to the Raiders. After signing him off the practice squad, he blows up. He gets paid. And then nothing. Now he's making country songs. Unbelievable. Okay. One thing to keep in mind, Andrew, is it looks like Josh has gone into auto draft mode. Now, we don't know if he queued stuff up or not. Let's find that out right now. So the way we'll find that out, if he's just normal auto draft, he'll take Juwan Johnson here. If he's queued a bunch of players up or going off rankings, he won't. Okay, so he did not. So that means we can't necessarily predict. Certain times when players go into that auto draft mode, if it's just the top player on the board, we can anticipate what they're going to do. Not going to be able to do that here. Is that you grabbing Braylon Allen? I mean, you can't hate that pick, right? The guy looks great. Breece Hall has had injuries before, and you're getting a clear number 2 right there. Andrew, I mean, boy, you should be the one doing this stream, not me, Andrew. You're the real expert. I'm out here just floundering around, not even correlating my team that well. Not even correlating my team. That's what happens when you jump into a draft with the TD King. Another second-round running back goes off the board at Will Shipley. Player that got a lot of hype like right at the beginning of draft season. It seems like that has fallen to the wayside here. Chig Okonkwo cannot get in there for your third tight end. Andrew, I don't know how much you were really going for Chig to begin with here. But I'm going to go ahead and look at my team, and I have to look ahead because I got to plan this out a little better. So I need a third quarterback and I need a third tight end. And I need to supplement running back more than wide receivers. So if there's some ridiculous value on the board, if that's even to be had this late in the draft, I'll consider a wide receiver. But most likely I'm looking at filling in this tight end room and getting a third quarterback. Justin Fields still on the board. Not anymore. I would have taken him if he was still on it. So quarterbacks I could take a shot on. Let's talk about it. I always go with Aiden O'Connell over Gardner Minshew. I do believe he's going to be a starter. And, even if it's 50-50, which I guess you could argue that it is, my idea is that Aiden O'Connell, when we're doing these late picks, I would like to be a little bit unique. And if I believe that, O'Connell's got a chance at the starting job, but I mean, no one else I even want here. I mean, I guess I go Jacoby Brissett for a couple weeks early. However, I mean, if Jacoby Brissett's being not Joe Burrow, this team's dead anyways. Yeah, there's no one else I want. I mean, yeah, this sucks. I guess I go Michael Penix if I really wanted to just be a jerk. But I usually only do that when I start building an Atlanta stack and I get ripped off. So, all right, I'm not going to worry about quarterback. I'm not going to take Juwan Johnson. I'm not going to take Keaton Mitchell. I would take Rashawn Ali if I was going to go for a backup there. Javon Baker's interesting. I could also take Noah Fant. some Tyler Boyd here. Not a lot of running back value here. So I might, in fact, end up taking another wide receiver. Javon Baker or Tyler Boyd, Jalen McMillan. Oh my gosh. I'm going to go with McMillan. No, I'll go with Slayton because I have Jones. But let's say I didn't have Jones, right? One of the reasons I like McMillan is we know that Evans is older, and I think that he would have. And when you're drafting at this point, other than Javon Baker, wait, I'm on the clock again. I can get them both, huh? Do I want 10 wide receivers? This is terrible. Fine, I'll take 10 wide receivers. Being on stream screwed me up, guys. All right, and I'm going to probably grab Teo Johnson with my last pick. Let me go ahead and find him. Is he even on here? So it's funny. He's moved up on Underdog, but I don't see him on here at all. Did I scroll past him? Gesicki, Mayer, Ertz, Dawson Knox, Hurst, Stover, Irv Smith, Jordan, Granson, Parham, Washington, Tunyon, Higbee, Ruckert, Bellinger, Willie. Where is Teo Johnson? I just saw him and then it moved. I think I scrolled past him. Somebody took him. Oh my God, you guys are jerks. All right. Flacco last round to be unique if I don't think Arrow would be healthy. Yeah, I agree with that, Meg. My only thing is whenever I do those late round stretches, I want at least some sort of correlation. So because I don't have any Colts, I'm not even going to worry about it. I'll probably just rock with 2 QBs. I mean, I screwed up. You know, I was drafted so much on Underdog. I'm used to these quarterbacks falling, and that simply wasn't the case. I saw someone took Sam Darnold. I wouldn't hate that. At least you know you're going to get started for the first couple weeks. Chase Claypool. I've actually took him in a couple Underdog weekly winners drafts, and it feels absolutely disgusting. Noel fan says these 2 extra rounds make these D-craft rooms seem like they lasted forever. I had a lot of fun drafting with you, Spread, and Andrew. Best of luck, fellas. Yeah, glad to see you in here, buddy. I'll go over your team if you're still going to watch. But if you've been watching so far, you know that I've been pretty complimentary towards your approach, and this is definitely one of the teams that I'm afraid of. You even hit some of the player takes that I really like. I'm already looking at your team. Pretty good team, Noel fan. Pretty good team. I see Andrew grabbing Michael Mayer. I love that. I love that you're in on these Raiders, Andrew. If you didn't have 3, I would say take some Minshew there or some AOC because you have Jacoby Myers and Michael Mayer, but you already have 3 quarterbacks. I wouldn't do it. Let's see where he goes. These last 2 rounds are just absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. I can't wait to see who's on the board with me. Boy, look at this board. I mean, it's just going to be disgusting, especially because I did Underdog all weekend, maxing that Chihuahua. It just feels like we're drafting so late. All the value on this board appears to be wide receivers. This is so wild. I guess that makes sense, though, with more people going 0 RB and these people being more running back hungry to begin with. I see Aiden O'Connell there. I don't want to take naked Aiden O'Connell. Justice Hill on here. Hunter Hurst, I don't think is bad, but do I already have my 3rd tight end? Do I have 3 tight ends or 2 tight ends? I'll grab Hunter Hurst. When I jumped on with Simon, we were talking about him, so that's where I'm going to go. I can't believe somebody took Teo Johnson ahead of me. All right, we'll go ahead and do that. Let's go back. Okay, so we'll just start reviewing these teams right now. So Noel fan, I already talked about how much I love your team. You went aggressive with the 4 wide receiver start, but getting DJ Moore in round 4, excellent work there. Then you fill it in with 3 solid running backs, all who have bell cow potential, and Joe Mixon, Alvin Kamara, and Zamir White. Great work there. Dak and Brandon Cooks, can't hate that. Great job there. Grab some Dallas Goedert, Kirk Cousins. I think you have him, you have him with Drake London. I mean, this team is just perfect. Almost a masterclass in how to draft, Noel fan. And then I like that you got Drake May, Hunter Henry. I love the player take of Corey Bedell. Is that how you say his name? I don't even know. Damian Pierce, another player take I like. Although that would probably be my only criticism. Since you have Mixon, I would, you're trying to go for a super team, maybe a different backup there. Because it went this way. Yeah, you could have got like a Braylon Allen, a Tank Bigsby. Just the idea that if this team hits and you're in the finals, it's because Mixon did really well. Maybe a different guy to go ahead and be the backup there. Cordell Patterson, Kendrick Bourne. I like to see people's reaches here. But overall, great job. Slight critique there, Damian Pierce, but I actually think you drafted a better team than me, so who am I to judge? It looks like I'm up. I'll grab Hayden Hurst, and that's the end of my draft that I didn't do too well on. Let's go ahead and look at Andrew's team. Of course, Andrew drafted Sharp. He's on the FanSpeak Network, and he knows what he's doing. He started with 2 wide receivers and a running back, but all solid players in A.J. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, Stephon Diggs. Grabs that Jalen Hurts for the correlation. Loves some Dalton Kincaid here. Great standalone tight end, and we've talked about the importance of elite tight end. Then he follows it up with 3 more wide receivers, 2 of them from Tennessee, signaling to the draft room that he wanted Will Levis, and we were nice. We went ahead and let him have that. Austin Eckler, great. If you're going to do exposures per site like I do, Eckler, get your exposure on DK. Grab that Brian Robinson over on Underdog. Tyjae Spears, we talked about him earlier, but since you were going for Levis, great pick there. Justin Herbert correlates with Lab McConkey. I mean, you guys are drafting really well. Tough room to be in. Xavier Legette, we've already brought that up. Will Levis, he needed that. Jaleel McLaughlin, my favorite player take right now. And then, of course, taking some nice shots there with Braylon Allen, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Keaton Mitchell, and fills it in with some tight ends. My team, I really regret taking Kelsey in the second round. So kind of happens when you're talking. You don't think as much as you should. But regardless, I got CD, whatever. I mean, no-brainer pick. Then it was kind of a tough one, right? Leaving Debo and Devontae on the board, even some DK Metcalf to grab Cooper Kupp. But this is a points per reception format. And, Cooper Kupp was the top player in fantasy 2 seasons ago. So the upside is definitely there. I'm fine with that pick. I like this T. Higgins, Terry McLaurin run that I went here. The idea was I was setting myself up for better backstacks there. Where I got Stafford and Jaden Daniels. Unfortunately, I overlooked that and I let the quarterback run happen before I could take advantage of it. I got a little Xavier Worthy, so a little more Casey correlation without Mahomes. Joe Burrow's my quarterback. I'm going to need him to have an MVP year. But hey, I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, so it's not like I'm, living on a prayer, as my guy John Bon Jovi would say. Finally started running back in the 8th and 9th round. But as Felix would say, hey, when you get Najee Harris, you get RB1 in the 8th round. How can you not like that? I was thinking I would get Ramondre there. Ended up with Tony Pollard. Probably better for my exposures. I don't have much Pollard. I've been going more Spears, so I'm happy about that. Romeo Dubes, I love him in the best ball format, especially when I've already taken my receivers and he can just spike in and I'm not relying on him. Chase Brown, add him a little Cincinnati correlation. Rico Dowdle, potentially the number 1 in Dallas, depending on Zeke's health. Darnell Mooney, we've talked about him before. Great number 2 option out there on an Atlanta team that we expect to have the highest uptick in fantasy performance compared to last year. Then I knew I was going to be targeting Daniel Jones, so I grabbed Wan'Dale Robinson with a bit of a reach there. Bit of a reach here for Daniel Jones, but I had to have at least some correlation here. The idea was going to be Wan'Dale, Darius Slayton, and Teo Johnson, but he went in the 19th round. Wild to me. But I guess the idea is with Darren Waller retiring, people think that Johnson's being undervalued, and that could be the case. I ended up going 10 wide receivers here because at this point, I felt like I was wasting a pick on a quarterback with no correlation. So I went with Jalen McMillan, and I've talked about why I like him. Mike Evans getting older, Chris Godwin, older receiver, potentially an opportunity there for Jalen McMillan. When you're picking in the 19th round, you're going to need injuries to get there. So that's simply why I did that. Guys, thank you everybody for joining me. I've been doing so many drafts, and I appreciate all the help. Reminder, the show's brought to you by fanspeak.com. That's right. Head on over to Check out all the articles. If you're looking ahead to next year, you can use the On the Clock simulator to go ahead and mock draft for your team. Of course, you're going to need a little bit of college knowledge, but you can use Steve's rankings for the upcoming year. And of course, like the video, subscribe to the channel as we continue to put out content. We'll have Sibling Showdown tomorrow. We'll have Andrew and Justin on Thursday, Friends of Best Ball on Friday. Then you got to deal with me next Tuesday. I appreciate your joining. Andrew says, I don't hate your team. I don't hate it either, Andrew. And I think that what happens is we want to draft the perfect team. And I just feel like I made a mistake getting Kelce early. So here's the deal. If Mahomes would have come back around to me, which he should have if I was drafting in a normal room, I think I would have really liked this team. When I took Kelce, I was gambling, and that's what I like to do. I'm an NFL bettor at heart, that Mahomes would be back around. When he wasn't, it kind of threw my plans off. I felt like I pivoted perfectly, grabbing Burrow right before the quarterback run, but I wanted to have Jaden Daniels or Matt Stafford as QB2, and I was not able to do that. So I'm kind of down on myself for not allowing that to happen. But the important thing is we had a great time, and you never know. I mean, you simply never know. I mean, if Travis Kelce, last year is going to pick 4, right? If he returns to that top 12 format and I got him in round 2, I'll be pretty happy, especially getting him at pick, 23. However, let's be honest, I did reach a bit. Guys, make sure you like. Fanspeak.com is the place to be. Sibling Showdown tomorrow. Tune in then.